What's up, gang? My name is Travis Cosentino. This is Creeper. She's a 1994 GMC Rally STX 5.7 liter V8. Come on, let's take a tour. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look inside. So first thing is storage. Again, right here. This is where I keep all of my shoes. All my shoes are stored in this little thing. I've had this thing for years, literally years. It's just been so versatile. So a lot of times I'll use it for like a table on one side. I do sit at it, you know, change my shoes. I also keep my jack in here. So a lot of tools are in here. I've got an emergency kit. So it's a great spot for things that I need to get to right away. Right here is actually my desk. So I just flip this thing out and I put my laptop and my mouse right on top of it when I'm at my bed, and I just do all my work right here. So this is really probably one of my favorite things about van life, is the fact that I can work in my van right at the beach with that cool breeze blowing in. Can't beat it. It's the life. Highly recommend that lifestyle. So there's this. Of course, this is my trash can. Perfect spot for it. I can get to it through my curtains, which I have magnets for. Which is great to keep them closed, and it's great for privacy as well. And I've just got them stringed up on this wire here, no big deal. And I can get to it right away. Moving on to the kitchen. I know it's tight, obviously, but I've got all my spices right here. I just found these little wine racks, and I cut it in half and I mounted it to the thing. And I've got these little things here, you know, paper towel rack. This was in my original kitchen. I just glued it right to my table so that I could have all of my silverware and everything all in one spot, easy to get to. The kitchen, everything I did, I drew it all out the way I wanted it first, so I had a general idea of how I wanted to build it. And then I just started cutting pieces. I'm not a carpenter, I'm not an electrician, I don't know anything about plumbing. I knew nothing about what I was doing, and I didn't have any help from anybody who knew the hell they were doing either. So this was an absolute nightmare putting it together, but the end result I'm very proud of. It's a beautiful build, and I couldn't be happier with it. So this piece here was a Craftsman's table that I purchased from Home Depot for about 35 bucks. It was relatively inexpensive. I just painted it brown, and I used a polyurethane finish on it, about 3 coats. I tried the spray first, but that sucked because the spray, it gets into the air and it takes hours for it to be gone. The smell is horrendous. It can kill you. So I don't recommend being anywhere near a spray can for this kind of stuff. Just use the stuff you can just layer on and be done with it. So this is my sink. It's a small Hauser sink that I purchased on eBay. I don't remember how much I got it for, but it's also attached. If you see right here, I have a foot pump that I purchased, and it does all of my water pumping. If you look in here, down below, I have a 5-gallon tank here, and I have another 5-gallon tank back there. Over here, I've got a 7-gallon tank, and this is my gray tank. This is what catches the water. I also have a backup hand pump in case something doesn't work out too well. Here I keep all of my dry storage, my plates. I do have regular plates, but honestly, having to do dishes, I'd rather not. So I do paper plates, and they're biodegradable. And then in here I keep all of my pots, my pans, my cookware, my stove. We'll talk about that in a minute. Back up top here, I have my tea. So I have my tea, my kettle, and my little owl. I like owls, if you hadn't noticed. So I've got some really good tea here. I love this fruit basket. I got this idea from Lisa with Freebird. She's a pretty popular van lifer in the community. She had one of these, and I was just like, I've got to get one. And it actually works really well. It's great at keeping my fruits to last longer, believe it or not. Over here is, I do obviously, I do my bathrooms things. So I do all my shaving, and I brush my teeth right here at the sink. This is a great little setup for that. It just, pulls right out, pulls right back in. I didn't want it banging up against the wood, so I installed these little rubber mats right here so that it wouldn't break the mirror while I was driving. All about safety. And then of course, over here I have a CO2 carbon monoxide reader, just in case. You never know. I'd rather be safe than sorry. I've had plenty of situations with that, with this old van. So I recommend definitely having one of those. Obviously, it's all my dry storage. We'll set this back over here. And I always keep Windex in this stuff here because I clean pretty regularly. You got to clean pretty much almost every day, because otherwise it gets funky in here and then people don't want to come in and hang out. So we don't want that. When I was building this whole thing out, I just got really like these little 1.5s by 1.5s, right? I think that's what they are. Don't quote me on that. Originally, when I was looking at in a kind of a sink setup, I really wanted to get some kind of pre-built thing, but they're just too tall because obviously they're for people that can stand. The best option that I found was bathroom vanities. They have some pretty short ones, but they were just too short, so it really didn't work out. I had to build my own. So I just basically measured, made it work, and this is the end result. So I don't have any drawers or anything like that, but I don't really need them. I've got everything I need in storage right here. The important thing that I wanted to talk about was my stove situation. So this is a Dometic stove. It's an alcohol burning stove. So what I use is this denatured alcohol fuel, and this is really the safest way to do van life, in my opinion, is to stay away from the propane, stay away from the toxic fumes, stay away from the extremely flammable things that are in the air. Just use denatured alcohol. I've got just this little lighter right here inside. So you just open this right up in here, and this is your tank, and this is what holds the alcohol. And you can just go ahead and pull it right out. When you're ready to fill it, you turn it up to this side right here, and you just pour it right in. Pop it back in, drop it down. Really simple. It does smell though, which kind of sucks, but it's a good thing that it's in here and it keeps it pretty well sealed, so I don't smell anything. But it doesn't hurt anything. So then all you do is you just set this over to a 1. There it goes. So then you just adjust for the intensity that you want, and it works great. You do have to be careful with the smell. So what I do is I drop this down when I'm cooking, and I actually take the whole thing off just to be on the safe side, obviously. Take the whole thing down, and I open my windows. And these things are awesome. I mean, one of the best features about this van is these windows right here. Because I've tried sticking your arm in there. Unless you're a kid, you might get your arm in here, but you're not gonna get your arm in here. You're not gonna get to anything. And I don't even have these open unless I'm doing any cooking anyways. But yeah, this is the safest way to do cooking in your kitchen, in your van, as long as you've got air circulating in, and because the fire obviously does remove some oxygen, so you just have to be careful. One of the things that was really important to me is that I had a bathroom. When I first started trying to get into van life, I had a situation where I was downtown and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning and I had to go. Not like a little pee-pee, but I had to go. And I didn't have a toilet. I was like, this is never happening again. I searched for like 45 minutes to find a bathroom. I'm not doing that again. So I got this little toilet here. I don't remember which one it's called, but I think I spent like 50, 60 bucks on Amazon. I do a lot of my shopping on Amazon. This thing is awesome. I do have to like empty it out pretty regularly, but it's become kind of part of like my regular daily activities that I do. I have a system that I do every day. I wake up, I make my bed, I empty out my toilet, I empty out the trash, and I recycle the water bottles through my refrigerator. And then I go about my day. You have to have a safe. Don't do van life without a safe. It's stupid. You've got to have your things with you, you know, like your passports, your social security card. You need to have a safe place to put those things, including your equipment, things that are important to you, like tools. Get a safe. It is absolutely worth it. Don't get the cheap, flimsy little black small ones. Get a big, thick one, something that's gonna make a difference, and bolt it to the frame like I did. That way, they're not taking this. This is staying in the van. So I have everything I really thought about very clearly was about safety and security, how to keep my things safe and keep myself safe. In here, I also have a 38 special revolver. So I am packing. And I have a spot right over here. I've got a magnet, and I just, at night when I'm asleep, I set my revolver right here. It points out towards the ground. And this is how I keep myself safe at night. So yeah, you just never know. You never know what you're gonna get. And for the most part, I've felt pretty safe where I'm at. And it does really depend on where you park. And it also depends on who you are as a person in that community. Do people know who you are, or are you just some stranger? So go out there, make friends, meet people, and you're less likely to have people breaking in your things. Everything about van life is about space. You want to maximize your space and use everything to its possibility. So over here, I keep my toilet paper, things I need to grab to, because I have toilet paper right here from my toilet. And I also keep my empty waters in here. So when I'm ready to refill, I just refill it and then I put them in my refrigerator. So this is where all this stuff goes. Every space is used for something, and this is the way I like it. This right here is actually a little divider. When I was building a sink, I kind of didn't really realize how close it was going to be to the mattress. It's literally like right underneath it. So I had to put this little divider here just to keep it so water wouldn't flow onto my mattress, which I haven't really had that problem at all, but I'm glad that I put this here. And it also keeps things kind of in the same spot while I'm driving around. This right here is probably one of my favorite features, is this mason jar light system that I installed. When I originally built this van out, I had put wiring all along the inside. When I was putting up these slats, it was such a pain in the ass to put these slats up here because they're super thin and flimsy. But the reason I did that is because I wanted to keep it light. I didn't want to put a lot of hard, heavy wood in here because I wanted to maintain a certain kind of miles per gallon, because this is not only my home, but it's my work vehicle. So I wanted to make sure that it kept things light. So when I was putting it all in, I kind of forgot where I put the wiring. And I was like, shit, what am I going to do about my light situation? I saw something like this on Amazon, and I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I knew exactly where I was going to put it and how I was going to install it, drilled a hole through both of them, and I just wired up on one side, wired up on the other side, ran it down into here where I've got some plugins, which is all hooked up to my solar on the other side, and I'll show you that later. So yeah, this is one of my favorite features. It comes with this remote. I can obviously turn it off, turn it on, but I can also adjust the settings of how much power it gives out. So at night, I can have this to the lowest setting, and it doesn't really, people don't notice that I'm in there. It's really, really low. It's kind of like having a night light. But then when I need to see things, I turn it up pretty bright, and it works out really great. So I love having this and I have a little magnet that I just glued onto it, and I just put it right here. Yes, I do sleep with my stuffed animals. I've had this Ewok. This is Wicket. I've had him since I was about 5 years old. My mom gave it to me, and I just never got rid of it. And then this is a little kitty cat that I made when I was like probably 7. I can't remember. I was in preschool, and the teacher was just adamant about us learning how to knit. That was a thing back then. You know, you knitted stuff. You knitted things. So yeah, I just kept those. Those are the only stuffed animals I got, I promise. There's no other extras in there. And then of course, body pillows. This is just a standard full-size mattress. It's pretty comfy. I did have a topper, like a little Tempur-Pedic topper on it, and it was even better, but unfortunately it just didn't work out for my build, so I just had to keep this. And I've adjusted to it. Okay, so over here is where I have all of my stuff. I knew when I was building this out, I was like, I've got to have shelves. I've got to have a place to put my, the things that I use on a regular basis. Obviously, my clothes surprisingly took up a huge amount of space. When I designed this, I didn't have these all picked out. I didn't know how things were going to work out, how they were going to fit. It just kind of worked out. It took me a few days to find the right size to fit in the space perfectly, but I totally found it. It absolutely worked out. I definitely recommend putting your clothes in something like this, because there are bugs that eat your clothes, and you don't want that. Van life is all about being frugal and saving your money. You don't want to spend it on dumb shit. So put it in here, keep it organized, keep it where you need it. In between here, I keep all of my chargers. So like if I want to charge my batteries for my cameras or my drone or anything like that, it's all kind of right here. This is a wrinkle releaser. I highly recommend it. So you don't look like a total bum. You can get those wrinkles out of your shirts. Definitely have one of these, because I do have an ironing board, but it's not really a practical thing with my solar setup. And then of course, Febreze, gotta make sure that you keep your thing smelling good, because otherwise nobody's gonna want to hang out with you. So yeah, again, all my stuff all kind of in there. Over here I have my, I charge my phone right here. I make sure it's pretty long because you need to be able to reach things. I've got all of my plugs right here. I just ran a, like a extended, the power brick that you plug all your things into. Anyways, I ran that from the solar setup all the way over here. It fits perfect right here, so I can plug anything I need to, and it works out pretty great. Gotta have these. Gotta have these. Baby wipes is a must in van life because I tell you, you're not gonna be able to take a shower every day. I mean, I guess it depends on the person. I mean, I have a gym membership, and yes, I can take a shower there, but I don't always go to the gym. And yeah, it's just nice to be able to clean your body one way or the other. You don't want to be smelly, especially in a van. So yeah, I've got my winter clothes here, all of my clothes that I wear on a regular basis here, my pants, which I pretty much never wear out here, which is awesome. That's the great thing about living on the beach, is you almost never need them. I've got my journal up here. I actually was able to have some nostalgic things that meant something to me. And this right here is what used to be kind of like a Game Boy. Before Game Boys, before they had Game Boys, they did have handheld games, and unfortunately it doesn't work anymore. But I used to play with this, and this was a race car game. The lights would light up at green, and then you would hit the gas and change the gears, hit the gas, and try to do as fast as possible, and then it would give you a time at how fast you did it. This was awesome back in the day. This is true gamer right here, this guy. So yeah, I kept that, and I think one day maybe if I can, I'll have it restored, if they still do that. I don't even know if they do that for toys, but I would totally do that. This is a 8-ball. It's just kind of, my mom gave it to me, so I don't ever use it, but it's, it's nostalgic. This is a sound bowl. It's just a little mini one that I use every once in a while. If I'm feeling kind of like a hippie or whatever, and I want to connect with the universe, then I use my little sound bowl. This, I highly recommend having some kind of junk drawer, a place to keep stuff, things that you need but you don't need right away. So I have cough drops and just like random stuff that I gotta have a place for. It's all kind of right here. Yeah, so just stuff that I need, things that I need to get to but I don't use on a regular basis. Totally recommend having a junk drawer. Over here, this little orange bag, this is my toiletries. So I keep this right here. I have my towel for showers. And then down here, actually, before I go into these things, right here is where I put my cell phone. So it's just a little thing, so I can kind of be perched up right here and just watch my movies and chill out. It's a pretty dope way to do it. I kind of like it. This is a handy little thing. It only cost me like $5 on Amazon. So these things right here, these are what I use to cover up my windows. So they're just some fabric. The original person I bought this van from, his girlfriend made these. I didn't make these, but she did a great job. She installed these little magnets all on the edges, and it's just, cotton. It's not anything special, but it absolutely works. So putting these up works wonders. All right, so these little things right here came with the original purchase of the van, and they just go right over the window with the magnets. She did a great job putting these together. And then I just flip this up right here at night. That way I've got some air circulating through the van, and it's a perfect setup with my fan going. So it works great. Like I said, it's just cotton, but it works really well keeping the heat out. So definitely recommend doing something like this. I love the idea that with lithium, you can run the battery down to 0 and then recharge it back up again, which I've had happen. I end up using my laptop all day long with my fan running, the refrigerator, and then by the end of the night, I'm out of juice. But sure enough, it refilled right back up again, and I had no problem. So it really is the way to go, and I definitely recommend going lithium for your build. Over here is where, when I'm driving, I like to be able to check my power. So this little setup right here, which comes with it, is just great for seeing how much power is going in, how much power is drawing out. And then I also have this little temperature gauge right here. And then right here I have my fan, which I use pretty regularly when I'm on the road, especially if I'm parked at like a grocery store and I want to keep my fan circulating air and keeping it cool. This is totally the way to go. So this is my solar setup. When I did the installation, I wanted to think a lot about mold and things like that. So I went with the foam insulation. I did 2 layers. I did a 2-inch thick and I did a 1/2 inch thick. And that just really worked out for my setup. It's different for everybody, obviously. But I also went with vinyl flooring. I wanted to get vinyl flooring because, again, it was mildew and mold resistant, and it was lighter, because I wanted to be able to save on miles per gallon with this van. It was already getting pretty low. I didn't want to make it too heavy with heavy wood. The downside to vinyl, unfortunately, as you can see here, is that when it scratches white, and that really sucks. That's the one thing I hate about it, is that it doesn't look good when I scratch it. So yeah, there's some pluses and there's some downs. I don't regret it, but I'm gonna have to figure out a way to make it look nice. I was thinking about maybe getting a Sharpie and just filling it in that way. I hope that works, but I'm not really sure. All right, so one of my all-time favorite features is something that I added later. You know, being at the beach, you don't have lockers to lock your things up in. And I didn't want to, I just didn't have really any options to go surfing or swimming and leave all my stuff at the beach for somebody to swipe up and take. So I found this safe online on Amazon.com. It's called a trail hitch safe. And so I can put all my keys and my credit cards and whatever I need is right here. I've got backup keys. It's all right here, and it's under a code. This is not coming out. You can't get to this. It's locked from the inside. This is probably one of my favorite features or add-ons to the van. Gotta get one. So down here is my all-terrain PF Goodrich Baja Champion tires. These things are awesome. They've lasted me for a couple of years. I've been off-road in Joshua Tree. I've been in Yosemite. I've been all over the place. These things are fantastic. I highly recommend them. Further on down here, we can see right up here is my solar panel setup. I custom built these. I just basically cut these metal pieces. They cost anywhere from $40 to $60 a piece. It cost me somewhere around $250 to cut it all up, drill it in. That took several hours to do, and it would take someone several hours to remove them. So that's a good thing on my part. This is just a standard sliding door van, but I would recommend in the future, if you do buy an old vintage van, try to find one that has the split doors, because these slider doors, they don't have parts for them anymore. So if it breaks, it's broken. You're gonna have to find a welder and somebody who knows what they're doing to fix it. This thing's got some problems. In fact, it did fall apart on me once, so I wouldn't recommend getting a sliding door. Moving on down here, I installed this tire rack. I got it on Amazon. It was pretty hard to find these. There were only a couple options. This was the best option I could find. I had it reinforced with steel from a welder, and then I, of course, zombie outbreak. I couldn't resist, getting something cool like that. My parents loved those zombie shows, so I was like, hey, Dad, check out, look what I did. Anyways, so yeah, definitely have to have a spare tire rack. Otherwise, when I purchased the van, it was just sitting up on top of this rack here, which was ridiculous. So right here is my Max fan. I actually scored it, got really lucky with this. I originally bought the standard edition on eBay. I don't remember what I paid for it, but it was the basic standard price. And when he sent it to me, it was white, and I was like, no, I wanted black, but I didn't have the option for that. So he sent me the black one, but it was the best version with the remote and everything, and he didn't know it. And I sent him back the old one, and I said, you sent me the wrong one, and he said, yeah, just keep it. So I scored that. How awesome is that? Up top here, I've got 400 watts of solar power. Below, I'll show you everything there. I've got a 100 amp hour lithium battery, got a 3,000 watt inverter. We could talk about that later when I get down there. But I basically can run my fan, I can run my refrigerator, I can run my laptop all day long as I'm underneath the sun, and I'll never run out of juice. It's pretty awesome. So I keep all of my storage in the back. It's basically like my garage. I have all of my gear. I had to have my bed up this high. I originally was looking at something a little bit lower so that I had more comfort up top, but it just wasn't a possibility with all the gear that I have. And I'm not going to show you all of my gear because obviously this is very expensive. But this is where I keep everything. Over here to the right, if you can see, I keep all of my tools. All of the things that I need to get to are really right over here. This is just a mallet that I use when I'm working with real estate agents, banging down those signs for them. Obviously a gas can. And then to my left over here, this is where I keep my dirty laundry. So I've just got this little catch thing here, and I put a little trash can lid up top, and that works awesome. I don't have any funk, which is perfect. Over here I had to have a library. Obviously I do a lot of reading. You're gonna find you're gonna be doing a lot of reading when you're in van life. You get bored, you know, you can't be on the phone all the time. You got to be a little bit more productive. And then right here, when I purchased this, this is what's used for banging out a window in emergency situations. When I bought this on Amazon for like 10 bucks, it came with two, and I couldn't give it away to anybody, so I just stuck it in here. I've got another one up front. I keep all of my, all of my gear, but I also have things like my laundry detergent and some things that I don't really need all the time is all back here in storage. But one of the things that I have that's really important to me is my mobile workout unit. Now this is 45-pound weight, pretty heavy, but it actually has some nostalgia to it. When I worked for Dylan McGaster, he gave this to me, and it's just been a memento, and I just had to keep it with me. I don't get to work out with it very often, but it's just a really cool thing to have. Yeah. All right, welcome to the inside. This is the captain's quarters. All right, so everything obviously is very standard here. When I first bought the van, there were a lot of major internal issues with the van. I spent thousands of dollars, and I mean thousands of dollars, fixing it. It was an absolute nightmare. I will probably make a separate video talking about things to look out for when you purchase an old van. But looking over here, this is a center console. I didn't change out the radio because I didn't really want anybody breaking in or giving them any reason to break in. The radio does now work, but I hardly ever use it. I do have a knife here. It's not for safety. I just use it because you never know when you need a knife. And I've got some sage to burn to keep out the devils, because you never know. I keep a camera here. I keep this camera as a little Polaroid. It's for fun. So whenever I see something really beautiful, I want to get a snapshot of it, and then I can always look at it. And anyways, this is Volt Boy. This is from a famous game. Volt Boy is from a Fallout game. I played Fallout 4. I tried some of the other ones, but just wasn't as good as the Fallout 4 game. Of course, my Altoids for good breath. And then again, this bad boy here. You know, I highly recommend anybody who is in a vehicle and does a lot of traveling. You just never know what can happen, and the ability to be able to break out of a window and cut yourself out of that seatbelt, you want to have that right there, right next to where you are. Looking right here, I have my refrigerator. You know, there's not a lot of space in this van. This really was the best spot for it. I also have protection here. This is my taser. I use this, well, I haven't even used it once, but it's right there in case anybody wants to give me a hard time, and I do sleep with this as well. And then of course I have my cup holders and things like that. It's just a really great little setup. This was like $10–15 on Amazon. This is a Costway refrigerator. It's a 24 quarts. I keep all my food in here. Not all of it. I do have some dry storage, but you know, perishables all go in here. I've got my salads, all my fruits and veggies. I eat tuna. I'm a pescatarian. It's the only thing I do eat. So yeah, everything's perfect in here. I can keep fruit in here if I want, which is perfect. And I love the fact that I can have cold water when I want it. It's really the perfect setup for van life. This thing only cost me about $400 on eBay, and I think it's even cheaper now since I bought it like 2 years ago. These things right here, you know, we've all got sun visors. Well, I wanted some for the side too, so I purchased some Reflectix, and I just cut it out of the window, and I put some magnets on it, and it just pops right into the side of the window and keeps that heat down, so it drops it by at least 10 degrees. It's not bad at all. Highly recommend doing that as well. So yeah, I've had plenty of time to go through everything, and I do have a couple other things I want to show you. I'm all about security. I've seen too many YouTube videos with people talking about how their vans got broken into and everything got stolen. I was just like, okay, well, I'm not going to let that happen. So I do have an alarm on my van, which I know doesn't deter a thief, but it kind of does, because they don't want people knowing that they're breaking into a vehicle. So what I have here, this is called a brake jack. So I can put this on my brake and it will lock the brake in place so they can't use the brake. So I have this, and then I also have the steering wheel jack. So I have two jacks that they've got to break through on top of my alarm to basically steal my van. I have a battery kill switch as well, but I'm not going to show you where that's at. I put in a lot of effort to make sure that they can't do it. I just take this like so, keep it a little bit loose, and then the brake one, you see right here, comes around, locked in place. This definitely deters thieves from wanting to break into your vehicle. Anything to slow them down is what I need, because I don't spend much time away from my van. I'm not very far from it, and I have a remote that will tell me if the van is being broken into. So I've pretty much done everything I can on my part to make sure nobody steals my things. Van life for me is a lot of things. When I first heard about it, it was an ad on Facebook, and then of course it led to YouTube channels. And I was following this one guy for a long time. His name is Dylan McGaster. And he's a pretty well-known van lifer. He's got a great channel called Dylan McGaster. Well, about 6 months later, I was in Joshua Tree, which is about 45 minutes from Palm Springs, is where I used to live. I ran into him. He was out there doing a story, and I didn't know that he actually lived out there. Or at least he was living out there for the time. And I ran into him. I only got to chat with him for like 30 seconds, but I was just so blown away. I was like, okay, I know that now this is where I'm supposed to go. Because I feel like when you are chasing your dreams and you get confirmation, that to me was confirmation that I was absolutely going in the right direction in my life. And when I met him, it just changed everything. Fast forward a few months later, he had put out a video about he's going to do boat life, and he's going to travel the country in his boat, and he's going to travel the world, and he needed some crew members. And so I put up a video along with several over 1,000 people, and he had picked me, but I didn't know what he had picked me for. I met him up in Joshua Tree, and we sat down and talked, and we hit it off, and he loved that I was a filmmaker, and he loved that I had my own YouTube channel, and he just really liked me as a person, which was really cool, because I really look up to the guy. Even to today, I think he's probably one of the coolest dudes I've ever met. Basically, he's the one that really, really inspired me and confirmed that I was going in the right direction. Van life for me was the most appealing because I've got a lot of debt. A lot of us have debt. I have medical bills, I have school, I have taxes that I owe. I'm just in a tight spot financially, and this just seemed like the most appealing thing. But aside from debt, really for me, van life is a lot like camping all the time. It's freaking awesome. I love it. I mean, I don't have to pay rent. I don't have this big heavy load weighing down on me to make large payments for things that I'm never gonna own in the future. I love the ability to be able to park my van by the beach, have the cool breeze coming in, meeting cool people. And yes, you can do that, but I get to do that every day, and you just can't beat that. I get to work here doing my editing for my film work and my photography right here by the beach. I couldn't be happier. And I love the idea of having my home with me everywhere I go. I love that if I wanted to just pick up and travel, I can go wherever I want, and I've got all I need right here. Van life is probably one of the greatest decisions I've ever made, and I have no regrets about it. Just get in your van. Just go buy that van, whether it's vintage or new, build it out. I didn't know nothing about building, and I did this. If I can do this, you can do this. I have no more words. Just do it. So if you want to follow me on Instagram as Travis_Cosentino, and I also have my own YouTube channel called A Series of Exceptional People, where I tell little stories about people that inspire me. So come check it out. I'd love to see you, and thanks for watching.